Have you ever wondered why life doesn't just coast along at one predictable speed? I mean, sometimes everything feels incredibly calm and steady. It's easy. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, you enter a period that brings rapid change, emotional challenges, or just this profound inner growth. Well, today in this explainer, we're diving into a really fascinating framework from Vedic astrology, known as Jyotisha. And it suggests that our lives unfold through dynamically shifting chapters, rather than just a series of random, chaotic events.
Think back on your own timeline for a second. This is a completely universal experience. You can probably pinpoint specific years that literally changed everything for you, right? Maybe a brand new career began totally out of the blue, or perhaps a long-term relationship ended, or a completely new spiritual path opened up, causing old beliefs to just completely disappear. Well, these aren't random coincidences. In the system we're exploring today, these massive turning points are actually deeply connected to very specific cycles of time.
So, in this ancient system, time isn't just some ticking clock in the background, it's meaningful. These specific periods are called Vimshottari Dashas. And here's the really cool part. Instead of just creating life events out of thin air, they act more like giant cosmic timers. They reveal exactly when specific themes or karmic experiences are finally ready to rise to the surface of your reality. They dictate the timing of what is essentially already waiting to unfold.
I absolutely love this analogy. Think of your birth chart like a massive field planted with all sorts of different seeds. Every chart contains a vast multitude of possibilities. But just like a seed resting beneath the soil, those possibilities don't all sprout at the exact same time. The seed exists long before you can actually see a green shoot poking through the dirt, right? Yet it's only going to grow when the right season arrives. Dashas represent those specific seasons of life. So when a new dasha begins, it's essentially like spring arriving for a very specific type of seed in your life. Moving right along to section 1, your planetary teachers. So, when a specific planet's period becomes active, its essential nature completely takes over the vibe of your life. Take Jupiter, for instance. A Jupiter period might encourage learning, wisdom, teaching, or massive spiritual expansion. It's a season of major growth. But then, boom, a Saturn period rolls around and suddenly the weather changes completely. Saturn often emphasizes heavy responsibility, intense discipline, patience, and long-term effort. It's all about endurance. Then we have Venus, which might suddenly highlight beauty, your relationships, and personal values. And if a Mars period activates, well, you'll likely feel a massive surge in courage, ambition, and this intense drive for decisive action.
Now, shifting gears a bit to our inner foundation, the moon's period often totally transforms your emotional world. Old memories might suddenly pop up out of nowhere, and emotional security and mental peace really take center stage. Mercury's period, on the other hand, frequently stimulates your intellect. You might find yourself obsessed with writing, business, analysis, and just intense intellectual curiosity. And finally, the Sun's period forces you to focus squarely on your core identity, your leadership potential, and your personal authority. It's the whole shebang of who you are. Each of these periods asks completely different questions because they represent entirely different dimensions of the human experience.
Which brings us to section 2, the agents of surprise.
Because, not all planets provide predictable, steady lessons. Rahu and Ketu are the wild cards. They're known as shadow planets. Actually, they're mathematical eclipse points rather than physical rocks, and they bring our most unpredictable transformations. Look at Rahu. This period actively pushes you way beyond your familiar boundaries. It brings massive ambition, worldly success, and experiences that just totally expand your perception. It heavily magnifies desire. But Ketu? Ketu works in the exact opposite way. A Ketu period pulls you deep inward. It's all about detachment, spiritual exploration, and profound surrender. During a Ketu period, people very often question their entire identity and life's purpose in ways they honestly never saw coming.
Now, this is an absolutely crucial point to understand. Transformation doesn't just happen because your external circumstances suddenly shift. Interestingly enough, your perception almost always changes first. Before external events even happen, these planetary periods change how you perceive your life. The exact same situation you've been sitting in for years suddenly begins to feel completely different. New questions pop up in your mind. Old motivations, they just lose their power over you, and suddenly completely different choices become possible. Planetary periods influence your consciousness way before they ever touch your external events. And honestly, this explains why two people facing the exact same life situation might respond completely differently, all depending on the active karmic timing in their chart.
Psychologically speaking, these periods are incredibly powerful. They act as these strict invitations to self-understanding by forcing hidden fears and emotional attachments directly into your waking awareness. So a Saturn period?
That might harshly expose your deepest insecurities so you can finally truly deal with them. A moon period might uncover emotional needs you've literally been ignoring for decades. A Rahu period can wake up these powerful, almost frightening ambitions you had no idea you possessed. And a Ketu period might suddenly reveal the hollow limitations of all your worldly success. But remember, and this is key, these experiences are not punishments. No way. They are profound invitations to greater self-awareness.
So you might be wondering at this point, if a dasha lasts for years, is a major event happening every single day of that time? Well, not exactly. A significant dasha might actually remain relatively quiet until it's supported by an important planetary transit, meaning where the planets are currently moving in the sky today. It's like two keys turning a lock at the same time. When both of these timing systems, your personal dasha and the current transits, activate the exact same area of your life, those dormant possibilities suddenly become highly noticeable events. But remember, even then, this whole system points toward potential rather than guaranteeing fixed, unchangeable outcomes. And that leads us perfectly into Section 3, Timing Meets Free Will. We have to address the elephant in the room here. How does karmic timing actually interact with your own free will? One of the most important principles in Jyotisha is that planetary periods describe the timing of events, not strict compulsion. I love this quote, "Favorable weather helps a farmer but cannot guarantee a harvest without effort." Supportive dashas create beautiful opportunities, right? It's like perfect rain and sun for a farmer. But if that farmer just stays inside on the couch and never plants the seeds or tends the crops, there's going to be no harvest. You absolutely still have to make conscious choices. The cosmic weather just tells you what kind of season you're working in.
So, what does this all mean for us? Ultimately, it means challenging periods do not guarantee failure. Instead, they literally become the vital foundation for resilience, patience, and lasting wisdom. From a spiritual perspective, human life doesn't develop through just a single lesson repeated endlessly over a lifetime. It unfolds through these naturally changing, dynamic chapters. Dashas perfectly explain why our priorities naturally shift as we age. The soul simply needs to learn different lessons at different times. Familiar identities fade away, hidden strengths finally emerge, and time itself acts as your greatest teacher.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider your own life right now. Take a look at your currently shifting priorities, maybe some sudden internal changes, or entirely new motivations. Based on all of that, what season of karmic evolution do you feel you're currently walking through? By paying closer attention to these shifts, you might just unlock a much deeper understanding of the unique chapter your soul is writing today. Keep observing the seasons of your own life.